You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host, Sean Sebastian. And he's back. He's back.
I'm here.
And from what we know, well,
little. I'm dying on the inside.
Little Fleming.
Had a rough week.
I'll say what we know. Your
There's
AC's back on.
the AC's back up and running. Yeah.
Feeling good? Obviously not. He's got all that phlegm, I guess.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm still full of phlegm. Here's the thing. When your AC goes out and you're sick, then it's just like you don't know what to do because it's like it's 80 degrees, 90 degrees in the house. You got a fever and you're full of phlegm and you're just like, I hate everybody.
Yeah.
And then the AC comes back on and it's like
heaven.
It is.
Then you just love everybody.
Then you realize that the greatest invention that God ever gave man the idea to create was air conditioning.
That's right.
I don't know how we would survive without it.
I would
anymore.
I would take AC over indoor plumbing. Like if I had to go outside and poo in an outhouse, as long as I could come back into the AC, I'm fine.
HVAC. I mean, look, I'll go out there in the freezing snow if I know I can come into a warm house.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'll go dig my plot out there.
Yeah.
And I'll just
I know
poop right
people will
in it.
probably be like, "Oh man, y'all are wimps," but I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want it.
Hey, it is like you said, a modern invention that I think.
I'll gladly say I'm a wimp because I don't like the 100-degree weathers.
No, I don't either. I don't know. Well, we've had it in this.
It's 10
studio
degrees
before.
hotter every time I talk about it. That's what it felt like in my mind.
Hell's Kitchen.
Oh gosh.
From 26
It wasn't
years.
that bad. I had windows. I had a couple of I had some window units. The thing that you actually gave me to take to the lake, I hadn't taken yet. That one thing that sits in the window that's a fan that kind of works as an AC. I put that in one window. I put the thing my parents gave me in one window. I retreated to the basement where it stays cool. But I mean, it got to a point.
Well, heck, it was only 2-3 years ago when my AC went out.
Yeah,
and it completely went out.
And it was
I had
bad
to get
in
it
here.
completely replaced.
We tried everything we could to keep it cool
it
in
was
here.
Bad.
Yeah,
and obviously, I couldn't keep it in there overnight because it's very accessible from the outside of my house.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it was like we tried to cool it off for like for the hour that we're in here, and we it chilled the room for about 3 or 4 hours. But by the time we got in here, it was like 30 minutes, and we were all burning up.
It was hot.
Yeah. So that's what happens. But I'm alive and well now.
Good.
Glad to have you back.
No. It was a rough week last week, but
you didn't really get
the
chance to talk about Top Gun.
I did.
We heard your review.
Pop Gun Magic. Yeah, that's
Pop Gun Magic.
That's the. But I did love it. You heard the review, 3.5. I know you all agree. Well, Brandon didn't
finally
see it,
went and saw
now.
it.
Yeah.
I went and saw it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Also, for one, a massive turnout, even on a Sunday afternoon.
They think it could break $1 billion.
I have no doubt it will.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see a normal non-Marvel movie break $1 billion.
Well, and one that's just a good, entertaining film.
Yes.
It doesn't beat you over the head with anything crazy. I mean, it's just a solid, entertaining film that is there to be a genuine continuation of the original.
Yep.
And that's what I appreciated about it. I mean, I don't want to go too far into it because I know we talked about it last week, but that's what I loved was that it didn't feel like a straight-up rehash of the original.
Right.
It felt like something that actually had a story worth telling.
I like the stakes in it. I like
continuation.
the fact that they were doing an actual mission, not just training.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they show even the way it's edited from the possible ways they're going to route this mission, the way those are cut up to show you cool scenes and interspliced with them actually going through the class.
Yep.
And then at the end when like you see a certain someone actually make the mission, possible and like give them hope. And even the actual
Death
scene
Star
at the very
run.
yes,
That was
it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock it because I mean I gave it 3.5, but it did straight up remind me of like, this is Star Wars.
Made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs.
So, but it was a great, it was a good movie. I
Very
really
good.
enjoyed it.
I agree with 3.5 absolutely after seeing it.
Awesome.
We got another huge movie. Not huge in a lot of circles.
It's
could
gotten relatively zero reviews by mainstream critics.
Yeah,
so.
of course. No critics have turned out to, I think,
It has
review
one review on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
It has one.
Christian Toto, they reviewed it.
Christian Toto?
Yeah, they reviewed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's the only. That's the only review on Rotten Tomatoes. That's not an audience review.
I would say the audience scores, I think, are sitting at over 1,000 or something like that. It may be a little bit too generous. It was like 500, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I mean, it does have a high audience rating.
Googles.
So.
The Googles, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes.
My Googles is the Jugal
But it is a
is
controversial
slow.
film, nonetheless. It's a documentary that happened to coincide with the beginning of what has now been deemed in our day and age Pride Month. It exactly kind of refutes a lot of the claims within the given Pride Month, and for that reason, people would call it a troll. It was done on purpose that way. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just say I could see to some certain extents there. I will say there is some trolling, but that's not the what the goal was. Like, I think that was just kind of to give it the humorous tone for that audience at the beginning. But when you get into the grittiness of it, what they actually get into, it is a serious topic, and they do have, I think worth saying.
I think the way in which the documentarian approached this film, it's very easy to see that you start out in a lighthearted manner from his side of the aisle, from his perspective, specifically because
it's taking it a while to load. Your Wi-Fi is being slow for me.
I may have to clear out the devices.
Okay.
So we may see it after the review starts. But ultimately, I think that it starts out because this topic at hand is created, or I think given so much kind of just candor from general audiences of, oh no, it's just, don't worry about it. It's just something silly. It's not, why are you even paying attention? That's the way a lot of people phrase these, these topics of discussion is, oh, it's no big deal. You don't need to be worried about this. And then no, as the documentary takes that dark turn of, no, this is way more serious than you think.
Well, and I think that's what, for me, because I not lie, I had a little bit of trepidation at first when we were discussing reviewing it, because me being a little bit more on the side of not wanting to step on people's toes, I'm like, well, because there's going to be plenty of people who would watch it or would hear what we're reviewing and be like, well, that's just, you're intentionally trying to antagonize, or you're intentionally just being evil. And I don't think that's what the documentary is. I mean, there are people that are never going to agree with it, and that's fine. I do understand. But I do think some of the things that highlights in this documentary are important things that everybody should think about. And that's where ultimately I came down with, okay, no, I think this is a good thing to talk about. Not because I think it's something we're trying to use to attack anybody's belief or ideas, but because honestly, if you can't have an honest conversation about any topic, not just this one, then how do you come together as a society to move on and bridge certain gaps, especially when this does impact, for me, like the biggest part of this is when it's impacting children, because we as adults are tasked with guarding and raising the next generation, not harming them. And there's a lot that this gets into with that as well. So.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm with Sean. We've hinted at it long enough. Let's go ahead, and here is our review of.
It has an audience score 2,500 plus ratings. It's sitting at 96%.
Okay. Sweet. All right. Well, with that, here is our review and our take on What is a Woman?
It's not often we review documentaries, though on rare occasions when one piques our interest and new release options are limited, we indulge. This week's review covers a quite controversial documentary from the Daily Wire, one that relatively no media outlet is reviewing. The culture is in the midst of a schism between political views, and when films such as Cuties can release on Netflix amongst critical praise, but one honest question makes critics scatter, one has to wonder why. So because no one else will review it, and because a single question shouldn't be enough to derail any belief or fact built upon solid ground, here is our review of What is a Woman? Directed by Justin Folk, What is a Woman follows Daily Wire podcast host Matt Walsh on his journey to answer the question, what is a woman? With this one question, Walsh hopes to shed light on the flawed thinking of gender ideology. Posing the question at women's marches to psychiatrists, doctors, surgeons, senators, and academics, Walsh asked the simple question, what is a woman? After all, if one is to identify as something, shouldn't one know what it is they identify as? What Walsh truly exposes are mindsets that anyone should be wary of, and even fearful of, regardless of socio-political views. Walsh, often considered the more abrasive of the Daily Wire crew, has a reputation for not pulling punches. And while some of the documentary, especially at its start, does take on the air of trolling, in so much as a harmless question as what is a woman can be trolling, the one-on-one interviews are straightforward, with Walsh acting as an everyman asking simple, honest questions. He lets his interviewees do all the work, allowing their responses to show just how far the rabbit hole goes. From the outset, there will be those who write this documentary off completely as bigoted and hateful, but I would urge even those who oppose Walsh's views to watch the whole thing. Even those who believe we should let people live however makes them happy should be disturbed by the mental gymnastics it takes to defend many of the things taught and done to children in the name of progressivism and equality. And this is the documentary's goal. While I personally would have loved to see even more hard facts and specialists in varying scientific and medical fields display the pros and cons of gender ideology, gender reconstruction surgeries, and hormone therapy and puberty blockers on children, the last topic of which there is a fair amount of data presented in this film, this isn't exactly the documentary's goal. The main focus again is to simply bring awareness to the intellectual dishonesty going on. If we can't have a conversation about even the simplest questions, or if even the simplest questions can derail your narrative, how can we trust your stance? And if we want to bring the nation together, attacking someone who disagrees with you for asking a question that for 99% of humanity's existence has always been thought of as having an obvious answer doesn't instill trust. What is a Woman doesn't dive as deep into the ramifications of gender ideology as I wanted it to, and as such may not win over those who are rooted deeply in opposing views to Walsh's, but it will definitely open the eyes of anyone with common sense. For those that can put aside feelings of being personally attacked and listen to what is being said on screen, it is eye-opening. I give What is a Woman 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4 stars. Now, real quick, I do want to preface, actually, it was funny because we walked out of the booth last week. Well, Sean and I did because you were obviously not joining us.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here.
I didn't get to talk.
But we
about
really,
Top
it was funny because I think we were trying to figure out what movie to watch, and it was only like the next day that this even came out, and it was like, oh, well, hey.
And Brandon was like, we should do this.
Honestly, here's the thing. I was up for anything.
I advocated for Fire Island, but nobody took me up on it.
Fire Island would be kind of like the polar opposite.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be the exact opposite.
Well, it's funny because even right as we went in the review of this movie, it was funny that you even said, like, you mentioned it in the review with Cuties being on Netflix. Yeah. And it's like, for all of the ilk that you may even decry this movie or say, oh, well, that's definitely not my cup of tea, or it's bigoted, I'm not going to watch it. It's like, how much other crap is forced and thrusted upon you that you are willing to either engage in or look at from other streaming services? And this is one movie on one platform, one documentary on one platform.
That's part of the angle I came at this from, too, was thinking, it's like, Cuties is not like that. I'm sorry, that's an atrocious film. I don't think it support. They could say it was meant to highlight the atrocity, but I think they helped perpetrate some of the sexualization of children. But we can give that a platform and praise it, and no critic will watch this because it comes from a conservative platform. And I'm like, that's not entirely fair. That's part of, for me, and a lot of my score with the 3 out of 4 stars is also just rating it as a documentary. Not so much the content within it as what they're spouting with their viewpoints, whether I agree with the viewpoints or not, but as, does this convey its message that it's trying to in a way that will make people stop and think? And I think it does for them. It definitely does what it sets out to do in as far as revealing some of the dishonesty behind a lot of people in power, as far as doctors, surgeons, psychiatrists. They had a pediatrician on there that's giving that is openly admitting to giving kids drugs that are used as chemical castration on pedophiles. And her only answer is, well, no, it's the context. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah. But besides that, so. It is, I think, eye-opening to those who may not realize some of the dishonesty, and there are going to be those who refute this, who say, no, this is all wrong, and I don't think this is really going to change anybody's mind that's dead set in their opinion or politics, whether you're on one side of the aisle or not. I think it might open the eyes of people more moderate in the middle who may not know some of what's going on if they give it a chance. But for me, I thought like I wanted a little bit more hard-hitting facts. Not that there's none in there. There are some really good moments as far as like some of the Kinsey stuff and the doctor he talked to about what's going on with the children and how this began and how a lot of the puberty blockers aren't just a pause button. Like it can do permanent damage.
Oh, yeah.
And so there are facts in there. I don't want to make it sound like it's because I wouldn't have given it 3 stars if I felt like it was a fictitious work. I just wanted, I think, a little bit more. And their main goal in this was just kind to point out the hypocrisy and the lies, which is fine. That's why I gave it 3 because it accomplishes that goal. But I wanted to see it go even further in showing, look, here's the facts of what these things do. But the real reality is that there's not a lot of studies on the hormone blockers and the things that they're now giving to people. So they can't really get into the facts because we don't know them yet.
Part of that is because, as you've seen in so many aspects of this documentary, and I think this is what the point you're bringing up, so much of those conversations are thwarted by the proponents of this, this newfangled obsession with turning our next generation of children, destroying their innocence and turning them into puppets to almost masquerade and parade as our own, audience of applause. And really that's what I saw a lot of this is so many of the sick things that this documentary uncovers and it, focuses on is strictly the things that for me that were eye-opening is, no, these people are willing to go along with this in so much as they want to make themselves in their own body and in their own mental confusion feel comfortable. So they're willing to literally throw the children of our next generation under the bus in order for that sick, perverted mindset. And I just couldn't shake that the whole time. From just, I think you even came out of the review, Keith, and I think the one word that you had for it, and I couldn't agree more, was just the, the ignorance,
I said intellectual dishonesty.
Dishonesty. That blissful ignorance of specifically saying, I'm going to lie to myself enough that
not
I
even
believe
all
it.
of it, I think, was blissful ignorance. There was a few times when I felt like these people, because you could see when he would pose a question that they realized, I can't answer that, or if I answer that, I've entrapped myself in showing that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So they intentionally give off a non-answer.
Or they become extremely defensive
Yes.
and point the finger back at the other person.
Now, there were definitely, like, the pediatrician, she was definitely, I think, blissful ignorance. Like, she truly was in her own world of belief of whatever she thought. And I mean, and that's scary in of itself to think that this is a woman who actually 100% thinks that what she's
Well, and
like
just,
when confronted with the chemical castration, she's like, no, that's the context. And I'm like, but it's the same. There is only, like he said, I want to get to the reality of the same reality that says we're sitting in this room. There is a actual fact and truth.
Yep.
Not just, what you say is because you say it.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like you could see the boondoggle on their face. It was just more or less this confusion of, oh crap, I've never been posed with this question, and 2, how do I work my way around this so that I can think through and answer this illogically, but only so that it ends up proving. I mean, that you could see the wheels turning in their heads of, okay, I need to answer this in such a way that it supports my view. Mm-hmm. It wasn't you've actually thought through these processes, and even though he even said, I think before the interviews, a lot of them asked for the questions that they would be, asked in the interview beforehand.
They saw all the questions beforehand.
They saw them, so they knew what he was asking, and yet even still, they weren't prepared for the inquisition that they were given, simply because they didn't have any facts that could back up their line of reasoning.
I think maybe one of the only things about that fact is that Matt Walsh is like you said, the rest of them, the people that he's interviewing, they don't seem prepared in their own minds. They were prepared ahead of time what the questions were but they didn't prepare an answer for those that could support their beliefs and their ideologies. But what really, I guess one of the negatives about the documentary that I found was that, yes, first of all, if you're watching it, you're a small group of people who has a subscription to the Daily Wire. It's not available to just anybody out there for them to watch, which to me is the atrocity, because everybody should have access to see this and not have to, subscribe. This is something that I think should be plastered everywhere, and hopefully this is a film or documentary that's going to be shown in churches, that's going to be shown in groups. I want people to see it. But so I think like a negative to me is that I had to password share to see it. And there's there's a lot of people that subscribe to the Daily Wire, no doubt, but there's a vast majority more that aren't going to be able to see this unless they either subscribe, which if they're the kind of people that would oppose these views, they're not going to subscribe to this to watch it.
Yeah, they don't want to support it.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, the more people that fall in line with some of these idiots in the film that watch it, to me, the better, because I really feel like you see those wheels turning in these people's eyes. Like you can just see that they're processing this stuff. But at many times, I stop to think, this is what they were taught. And they're repeating what they were taught in college and what they were taught by their parents or other people around them.
Right.
So I try to give them the benefit of the doubt because they can't answer the question. Some of them because again, like you said, that has never been posed to them, but they don't know how to answer it because they were never taught how to refute that. They were never taught that there was anything other than that. True. And I really feel like a lot of them, yes, it is ignorance in the fact that they never learned anything different.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that to me, the film is definitely for the people that believe in Matt Walsh's side of this story, and at times his questions do make them look like fools, which is a good thing. But at the same time, for those who may be on that left side of the aisle that would choose to watch this and say, well, I'm going to watch it and see what the other side really thought. I want to see what these hard facts are. Mm-hmm. They're going to see it and think, well, all they did was made fun and made us all look like idiots. I don't think there's anything there that's going to really make them think anything other than anger towards the interviewer.
Though. I think it's funny because I agree that I don't think it was geared towards that side of the aisle. I think they knew from from the apparent DDoS attack that they had received the night of the premiere that there were obviously going to be bands of people out there who were trying to thwart this film from even seeing the light of day. But I do think it was kind of geared towards, the conservative right side of the aisle who already kind of, agree but also don't necessarily know how to articulate some of the ways in which to confront these people as Matt Walsh does.
Sure.
Very intelligently in the
bold
film. But also, I think, too, it's for that curious case in the middle that truly is kind of a proponent of, I know this is something of going on. Mm-hmm. I don't follow mainstream media. I've got my own little kind of insular group. And like you said, I think it's going to be more for down the road, communities and smaller focused, groups to actually see this, to really understand the weight of what's going on at a higher level in our society and in our culture that's ruled by the institutions, whether it's the mainstream media or college campuses. I mean, these things are being funneled down from departments of education in many different states.
And government.
And from the government. And you're sitting here, and it's like when you start to hear some of these things, it is scary because it is really brainwashing at the most primal level. To where you do want kids to think this way so they grow up with no other way of thinking.
Well, I was going to say, I know personally, I won't name drop anybody, but I have personal friends that more on the left side of the aisle or who may say they're more moderate or libertarian that would agree with the most part of however you identify, and that's fine. Like they're more live or let live, or if you identify as a woman and you're a man, that's fine. Be a woman. But they wouldn't go as far as, because they just, they listen to the media. They say, okay, that's what's going on. I believe that. But then when you get into the gritty of what we're doing to the children, I know many of them who would say, no, that's wrong, but they may not realize. And I think this does bring some light to that if they're willing to watch it and realize, oh, okay, I'm fine if you're 30-something years old and you want to go have a surgery and become a woman. That's your prerogative. But forcing drugs onto kids who may not, have really any sense of what they are yet because they're still children who believe in the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
It's like you have to let kids be kids and grow up.
Well,
And you can't force upon them something yet that they aren't fully cognitive of able to decide for themselves yet.
Yeah, no doubt. And then I would say too, like I was completely enlightened by the whole Kinsey thing. I've never heard of the guy, never heard of, but the fact that these ideals come from like known child molesters, I would say predators,
Yeah.
and I mean.
And they're praised
Some
as
of the
geniuses.
experiments and stuff that were taking place borderline with some of the stuff that Nazis were doing to Jews. Like, I mean, I hate to compare. Everybody hated that with Trump. Everybody compared everything to the Nazis. But when you look at some of the atrocities throughout history and some of the like mass genocide and a lot of these different things that have taken place, what he was doing and what people have done since is towing the line. If not exceeding the, crossing the line.
I would say
with some of these
anybody who thinks it's okay to do sexual
Reassignment surgery.
not just that.
No,
he
I mean
was, he was
experimentation.
Like,
Oh,
sexually
yes.
experimenting
He-
with 5 months old.
he
Oh,
was-
like
he was-
that was
he was
testing to
insane.
see if they would have orgasms.
He was
Yes,
noting
2 to 3
how many
charting
orgasms a
them,
day
yeah.
they would have, and they were not even 2 to 3. I thought you said years. Yeah,
No,
2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that's evil. And people could, because I know Kinsey is praised as being this forefather in gender ideology and sexuality, but anybody who thinks it's morally okay to experiment on children, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It is wrong.
Absolutely.
Well, and the scary thing is too, this wasn't 5-10 years ago. This was 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
That these things were happening. That Kinsey was.
They made a
was,
movie about him in
Yeah.
2004. Me and
We Googled
Sean
it,
looked it
yeah.
up. Liam
Well,
Neeson plays
Liam Neeson.
Kinsey.
Yeah, they show a
Yeah.
picture of
They
the
did.
poster
That's why
and
we
the cover.
Googled. That's
yeah.
why we Googled it because he was.
yeah, I was like, is that Liam Neeson? And he Googled it, and he said it's got a 98.
It's got a 90% on Rotten
90%
Tomatoes
on
from
Rotten
critics.
Tomatoes. Yeah.
I mean, the movie
But
paints
here-
him
and
as a hero.
Well, of course, and
Yeah.
just like so many of the things that the atrocities of yesteryear come back to haunt. It's like I think this is one of those eye-opening moments where no doubt, as a society and as a culture, we have the ability to right this wrong and to stop it before it gets so knee deep. I mean, I think I listened to the Matt Walsh show the day after just because I wanted to hear his opinions of how he thought everything went, and he opened up and he said, honestly, I think the hero of the film is the trans man,
Yeah.
the woman who admits fully that she's like, no matter how many surgeries I have, no matter what they carve out of my arm, she holds up her arm,
Yeah.
She said
and
she
they
gets
make a
infections
phallus
every
phallic
couple
penis.
months. Yeah.
She's like, I'll never be a man. It does not matter.
Yep.
And I'm dealing with all these health problems. And here I am. I transitioned, I forget how long ago it was, but she was above the age of 40
Yeah.
when she chose to make this choice.
Mhm.
And yet that's what we're facing here is, she's at least speaking up to say, no, these are the conversations that are important because you're going to alter your life to such a damaging degree that's irreversible. And yet you're wanting to just piddle around and act like none of this is happening or that this shouldn't even be, discussed. How dare we as a nation and as a culture, subside and not give weight to this argument and to this conversation that needs to be had. And if anything, that's what I ultimately applaud the movie for doing.
In a culture that is so about equality right now, and I really feel like since the civil rights movement, yes, we have accomplished equality in this country and around the world for that matter. We praise equality in just about everything, but we don't want to hear the voice that speaks out against something that they're for. And that's what really kills me. It's like with one breath you talk about equality and these rights, but you don't want to hear the side of the person who was ruined by this.
Was it Jordan?
And it's like that person's voice, I can't remember her name. But yeah, the hero of the film, that person's voice is not being heard other than in this
No, they'll write her off as
that's
some outlier.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's an extremely rare example, and
well,
she's
just like J.K. Rowling's and being a TERF, and she's not
Well,
with the
that's what I was
trans
gonna say,
movement, and how dare she go against women's rights when they're not women.
Jordan Peterson, who's in the documentary, even states, as far as as a psychologist or even just a doctor, like anymore, your job is to help the patient, not to affirm their problem, but to help them. And now we're getting to a point, like you said, Sean, where people are afraid to speak out or they can't speak out because then they're lambasted. And as Jordan Peterson said, how can you trust to go to a doctor and tell them what's wrong if the doctor's like,
too afraid?
You have whatever. Yeah, they're too afraid to give you a diagnosis because if he says the wrong thing, his career's over. So it's like, well, you have whatever disease you think you have because if I say something,
it's like, I can't tell you you have testicular cancer because you're a woman.
And
it's like,
and that could
no, you don't have testicular cancer.
Exactly right.
And now
you're exactly right.
And you face that because it's like how we have to trust that these people are honest with us to give us the best care, but now we put them in positions that if they speak out on actual hard facts and science because they're trying to give you the best care, well, they could become a bigot. And it's a scary situation.
Well, and
I think
the one line he drops in the film that I like is he says, he's like, there's no such thing as gender-affirming therapy. He said there's nothing about therapy that's affirming. Yeah. He says the affirmation is that you've come to me and you said you have a problem. I don't affirm it. I try to work through what the problem is so that we can figure it out. Mm-hmm. There's nothing about you that I'm affirming. And he said that's just, and I think that's also when you get into that argument of, because so many, look at the gun violence, look at everything going on in society today, and the first thing people want to scream and shout about, and I'll be the first one to agree, is mental health problems. Mm-hmm. But when you use that as a scapegoat, or not to truly clinically describe what the mental health issues are, or how to go about solving and getting to the bottom of how do we really help these people with mental health issues, then you're just using it as a phrase to say, I'm going to write this off. I don't really need to focus on it because all I have to do is chalk it up to mental health issues, and that's it. And this is exactly what I think a lot of serious clinical psychologists out there who want to help. There's another woman in the film who's a child therapist, and she basically says, I'm cornered because on one hand, I have the whip being bared down on me to say I have to, if a kid comes to me and they have some kind of, fishy feeling about their gender, then I have to pretty much go along with it and accept them for who they are. Yeah. Because I heaven forbid, I turn them over, tell their parents, and their parents say, well, no, this is what we want. They want to be this way. We're gonna push hard on that. And then where is she at in her job? All she's doing is basically playing a puppet to, well, I can't really help your kid because you don't want to admit that there's anything wrong.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, you have the parent who's unnamed in the film that calls in, who has been arrested and was in prison, is out on bail now
in Canada.
Because in Canada, of course, but he, didn't want his daughter being given hormone blockers, and it was up to the mother and the daughter. And they were divorced, but he's still the father. And they said, no, you don't have any say in that. And
the government stepped in.
Yeah, the government stepped in
and
arrested him. So it's not just at the clinical level and with these therapists and doctors and teachers and politicians. It's down to the parents. We're not even allowed to decide what's best for our children. It's just insane. The doctor was the one making that decision, and based on what a 10-year-old thinks is right or wrong. It's like I've got a 9-year-old now. He just turned 9, and it's like the things that he would love to do if he was living on his own. Like we've talked about it before, where it's just like it's one of them things where
I want to be a dinosaur hunter.
Yeah, well, no, it's like he's at that age where it's just like I hate living here. I don't ever get you. All you say is no, and and it's like at that attitude age that's starting now. And it's like, okay, well, it's just like, there's the door, son.
Go on out.
Pack you a backpack and go on out. Yep. And he's just like, I'll go out and I'll do this and I'll sell my Pokemon cards and I'll have thousands of dollars. I'm like, yeah, go out there and see how that works for you. And it's like, but that's what a 9-year-old think is best for him. Yep. And I'm like, that right there is every child is like that.
Now, I don't want him to hear this show. I do know some people who are in the market for some Pokemon cards.
Okay.
Well, if he's got any good ones.
He thinks he does, but that's the thing is like what he thinks he's got and what he really has is two completely different things.
It'll be like Pawn Stars. He'll take it somewhere and I'll give you $20.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't that
like,
great?
I don't want
isn't that that's a great like analogy for this whole argument?
No, it is.
He's gonna go because he was taught and he believes that he's gonna go to the pawn shop and hand this card over, and they're gonna say, that ain't worth a damn.
Right.
That's not worth 10 cents.
Well,
Whoa. YouTube said it was worth $500.
And I was going to say,
And
that's the preponderance. The preponderance is now as the onus is on the person who's claiming to be victimized. And then we now are supposed to, as a society, give into this idea and this perpetual nonsense that they themselves are the victim and that we have to encompass ourselves around their reality.
Yep.
And I think that's also the most destructive thing about this is we are literally giving children over to, again, something that is malicious in nature of making yourself feel affirmed in your own identity for your own selfish purposes, but then also leading them astray by making it seem like the world they live in bends to their will. And that is certainly not the case.
I think,
because reality will hit you upside the head.
To touch on something that you just said about making themselves, but that's what's scary too is a lot of these people. It's a power trip for them. And look at the good I'm doing. I'm helping this child realize who they are, and they're not actually thinking what is best for this child. They're thinking I'm doing this great, amazing social thing that everybody should praise me for. And it's like, yeah, but it's not about you. It's about what's best for the child.
But everybody does praise them for it.
Yeah,
and that's it. The more
and that's why they continue to do it.
The more you affirm these people, the more they're going to do it, and the more atrocities they're going to commit. The only hope that I have, and I hate to even say that it's hope, is the fact that in the documentary they talk about consequences. They talk about regret. They talk about some of these things. One of them, one of the women who is a child therapist, comes right out and says, like, you're putting them on drugs that we know that in 10 years they're going to have cancer from these hormone blockers. Like, she flat out says, like, studies have proven that when you do this to the human body, it opens doorways to all kinds of illnesses, and cancer was one of them. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so do we just wait the 10 to 15 years for all of these people to be allowed to do this, and then they all, either kill themselves or get cancer and die before for them to learn? And I feel like society goes through roller coasters like that.
Yeah, it does.
Like you have to learn by touching the stove that it's hot.
Sadly.
You know what I'm saying? And I think at some point this is all going to come back around, and we're going to realize the mistakes that we made.
Right.
It's happened throughout history with a lot of different things, slavery being one of them. Everybody was for it. It's all around the world. We realize that as human beings, it's wrong.
Thing.
It's
Yeah.
evil. And I think, again, going, not to go religious, but when you go back to the Bible, well, there's your answer. Like that's where we get our morality from, is from God. But yeah, I really, it just hurts my heart to know that these people are going to have to go through hell before they realize they made a mistake. And one side of me wants them to realize they've made the mistake, kind of like I told you so. But the other side of me is like, no, let's do whatever we can possibly do to stop this now, so that they don't have to go through that to learn. And I think it's like, I want to tell my kid, don't touch the stove. It's hot. I don't want them to have to get burned.
Well, and again, it's like, and I was going to say, and if anything, that's what you do as adults and as someone who has gone through difficulties in life. Part of your experience is what you do for the next generation.
Yeah.
And teaching them and trying to tell them
of
love.
We're failing our next generation.
Oh, no doubt we are. And you're right. I think, sadly, what this movie also serves as a message of is, it tries to stave off that destruction that you're gonna inevitably see continuing down this path. It is unfortunately that, like you said, far too often we have to, in societies and cultures, go through rough spots of making tough choices and realizing you got to get burned.
Yeah.
And it's part of it is staving off how much destruction it leads to, and trying to save as many lives and as many children in this case as we can.
Yeah. We're gonna end up being reactive instead of proactive about this, but unfortunately. But as far as the documentary goes, I really thought, when I hear documentary, and I'm not dogging anything that the Daily Wire has put. Their production value is very good on the films that they've had their hands in, and even from their shows, their podcasts, and things like that. It's very well done. I was very surprised at the production value and the level of quality, that was in the documentary. The filmmaking was very good. It was timed very well. I didn't feel like there was no down spots where it was boring or anything like that. And even from Matt Walsh, there's a couple of times throughout the documentary where it blatantly says at the bottom, this is a dramatization.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but even the
thought
moments
that was
where
kinda
he's
funny,
even
tongue-in-cheek.
but even the moments where he's acting,
Yeah.
he was very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And for someone who just has a talk show and a podcast and writes books and stuff, that I thought the production value was very good. And it again, I go back to my first point. It's a shame that right now only a limited amount of people are going to see this, because I feel like it has the quality and it has the questions being raised that everybody should have access to.
I was
and
gonna say,
I hope that there's a DVD.
That's
or
what I was going to
something.
say. I hope there's like a digital
Yes,
download.
I would
a
love to show
Blu-ray.
this to the
Yep.
men's group at church.
Well,
Like, I would
and it was
love
funny
to show
I
this.
think I was watching the show before the actual premiere, and the director was on there, and he was talking about how there was so much footage that is not in the film, and they just have tons. And I'm like, I'd love to see a Blu-ray
with
that I can
special
buy
features
on
or something,
dailywire.com at their store, and that way I could share it with other people that I would want to see it.
Well, put it on Amazon.
Yeah, put it
out there for
put it right
everybody
there.
to
Bundle
see.
it with Johnny the Walrus.
Yeah, yeah.
Do that. I mean, that would be perfect.
It might get
And
taken down,
It may,
but put it out there for non-subscribers.
And like you said, I agree. It's like I understand their maybe first foray into trying to get people to sign up to come to their service.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Walsh even kind of jokes, and I think he tweeted at somebody who was like, why has it got to be behind a paywall? And he was like, I'm tired of you all paying $15 for Netflix and complaining about them peddling crap that you don't watch,
Right.
and then paying $15 for one a month to come and watch all of our stuff. And I agree with his comment there, but I agree with you too, Sean. It's like you've got to make it available, though, to the masses that I can just easily, instead of giving my password and username, it's like whether it's a shareable link or some other way, like a physical copy that I could share
if it was a
with
physical
some-
copy,
Yeah.
I would buy it.
Absolutely.
And
because
Just
behind,
because I want to support them, but I also want other people to see this.
Yeah.
but behind the paywall, you're also kind of preaching to the choir. You're already preaching to the people that already agree
Right.
with you. So
And I hate to say it, but there's also, and I had a hard time with this. I had to hook my iPad up. I don't have a Roku. I have a PS5
Oh,
that I
yeah.
stream, and
There's
it's
no
like
app for
other
that,
than
yeah.
Roku and Apple TV.
surprisingly,
there's no
a
app.
They have an app on Vizio, so I used my
Oh,
Vizio
wow.
Smart Hub to watch it. 'Cause,
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Out of all the things, Vizio has a Daily Wire app.
Yeah.
Huh, okay, but that's another thing. It's like I can't even tell my parents do have a Roku, but other people, I'm like, I don't know if I could tell them to go and find this. You got to download the Daily Wire app. You got to sign in. You got to. It's like, yeah, I wish
Yeah.
there was like a, and it's sad because I don't think they could sell it to like Amazon Prime or Netflix because they wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. I mean, they're
maybe
they're-
Netflix would, since they support
the
free
movies,
speech now.
the movies that
Maybe.
they've distributed and hand to hand in the production of, those are one thing. But when it's something like this that I really feel like is very eye opening and possibly world changing,
I
I don't
agree.
feel like it should be behind the paywall of a subscription.
and
It
again,
should be out there for people
Because
to purchase.
the movies, while they do have their values, the movies aren't directly political either. I mean, they have their morals and their values within the movies, but they're not I would say, like, none of their movies so far have been, I would say,
They're
directly
just-
conservative
they're just
film.
not woke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But when this is a specific message you're trying to get across, that is a little different to have behind the paywall.
Which, granted, I know we've
We've gone
talked
on.
about what
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a woman for long enough. It's
I think we
definitely worth
have.
checking
Yeah.
out. If you subscribe for even just a month, you can watch it on dailywire.com. Go there and subscribe. It's still plastered like all over their website, of course, to watch. And you can also see all of the other movies we've reviewed of the Daily Wire.
Been
and also talked
consistent.
about.
Every single one we reviewed so far, I've given 3 stars. So
Yeah.
Um,
And you've said it before. You can purchase a subscription for 1 month.
Yeah, and watch
Was
all
it
of
10?
their content.
$10
honestly.
or is it 15?
it's 15 for
I
1
think
month.
15 for the Insider's Pass, which unlocks the video.
If that's
Yeah.
monthly, you can buy. It's actually at $12 a month if you pay for it annually.
But if you just want to watch for 1 month and watch, it's worth
$15
$15
bucks, yeah.
That's the
rental.
price of a movie ticket or the price of the Blu-ray if you were to buy it.
that's
So,
true.
yeah.
So
But definitely check it out. It's worth it. But we are now moving on to
headlines.
our headlines. We got some juicy headlines.
Yeah, we got some good ones.
The verdict is in. Johnny Depp was defamed by Amber Heard. We got to talk about it, guys.
We just skipped to the second headline. Gosh.
Well, I know I put him.
Number one was Top Gun's booming.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Okay, well, everybody already knows it's booming. I
it's
just wanted to
booming.
be facetious.
And we'll
get
talk
back to
about the
that.
copyright
No,
issue.
I think everybody's more interested in the Depp Heard. I mean, we're about a week behind now, but still.
That's why I wanted to get it out of the way first, because it's the most old. But it also, I think the verdict came down the day after the show.
Yeah.
Not
again.
completely. It was 2 counts. She did get the 1 count, so but mostly, he won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She owes him $2 million.
She got 0 punitive damage from the jury, so they
Right.
were like, it wasn't intentional what he did anyway.
Yes,
so
yes,
it's not his fault.
and basically he gets all the money, and she's not going to have nothing.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
She
I
technically
just think
gets.
that's so funny how it works. It's like, okay, you get $2 million, but you owe him 15.
Yeah. So
It's like so.
well, with the
You mean,
Virginia law,
yeah,
technically she only owes, I think, like
10 and a half,
10 and a half,
10.3
or something.
It was 10.3. But at the end of the day, basically, she's going to be paying him 8 point something because she had that 2's not going to attribute. I mean,
well,
Yeah.
I also find it
He
interesting
won.
because
Yeah. Most importantly,
she'll
though,
remember
he's
the
got his
day she
reputation.
almost caught Captain Jack
I mean, that's
Sparrow.
really what it was all about. He don't need $15
Yeah.
million or 10 or 8
Well, no.
or whatever. It's about his reputation.
That's all he wanted.
Yeah.
He said as much at the end. He was like, it's not really about the money. It was about clearing my reputation.
well, and especially that vindication after dealing with the legal battles he had in Europe or in England and having to deal with the son, and then they said no, there was ample evidence for them to literally quote him as a wife beater, which I think is so interesting that here
if
we
someone
have him.
crapped on my bed and called me a wife beater, I'd want to be vindicated too.
Well, absolutely. But it just goes to show you too that I mean I hate to say it, but for all the legal woes you still have in America, just like even Depp said with the verdict coming out, he's like, I hope this proves to media outlets and others that you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
And I think it's for one, there's another article we linked to down below about this whole Depp trial. It's from Variety. I need to pull this up because I'm not going to quote from the article. I'm going to trust everybody out there to read it. I just want to name drop the actual people who wrote this article because I'll be honest with you, they're idiots. they are just absolutely stupid. The 2 authors are Gene Mondas and Brent Lang. They literally, like, in this article, have their own freaking opinions about how he's misogynistic and, of course, can Johnny Depp really make a comeback? Is this really going to help? I'm like, obviously, you all don't read the tea leaves because everybody who was following this,
everybody was in Johnny
day
Depp's
in and
position.
day out,
Depp's side. Yeah.
everybody was on Depp's side.
I've seen a few outliers. They're like, well, he's an alcoholic and a drug user, and he admitted to that. And he says he's clean now. We have to, trust that.
His
he's,
mom also died during one of the incidents in which he realized that was when he went to file the
but
divorce
they're,
papers.
they're making
with
a
Amber
false
Heard.
equivalence because yes, there are alcoholics who are violent but there are alcoholics who aren't. And I'm not saying whatever. Yes, he did a wrong, but that wrong doesn't automatically equate to him being a wife beater. I'm sorry, and he even admitted, yes, I did that. I'm clean now. That was wrong, but I never laid a hand on her.
Right.
And that's the thing. I mean, you can't just accuse. And that's what society wants to do now. Like Sean mentioned when we were talking about the review. You did one thing wrong, so now your life needs to be over. It's like, no, people
redemption.
deserve grace.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you've been wronged in the exact opposite.
Yeah.
It's like you literally not only, I mean, I think there was another good point after the verdict was reached is nobody's going to be sitting there pointing the finger at Washington Post. They were the ones who originally posted the damn article and went along with her accusations, which all of it was only by her mouth. And that's what led to this whole defamation lawsuit. And rightfully so, it's not only been proven by a jury of peers. The fact is you've heard the evidence. You saw her crazy, ridiculous coke snorting on the stand.
I know. I swear that's what it looked like she was doing.
There's a meme of a dude. It's playing in the background.
Yeah.
And this dude off to the screen, he's like, he's putting a little something in a tissue.
Oh, gosh.
And he walks up to the side of the TV and he acts like he's handing it to her.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she reaches off screen and
reaches
pulls
over Snorts
so
Those are
freaking
great.
good. But no, it's like the reason why I think so many people were on Depp's side is you could clearly see the insanity of Miss Heard and how bad of a liar she was, how bad of an actress.
How many times she got
really is.
caught in lies and then would get argumentative about it. And there was, I don't remember the talk show. They were interviewing her lawyer, and I forget the guy.
It was CBS This Morning.
Was he the professional football
Yes,
player?
yep.
Where he said, when I fail, I look at what I did wrong. And she just gives him this look like, Like, are you suggesting I
Did wrong? Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
damn, shots fired.
But he did. He's like, if I lose a game, I look at what did I do? That
was this the first case that her lawyer tried before? Because I mean,
she seemed like a nitwit. Like, well, here's the thing.
the one lawyer
I honestly think the
Well, she
guy
tried
from
to blame
TMZ
answered his own questions,
Yeah.
or
Well, she tried to blame the jury and say that they're not supposed to, but they were watching.
she had a
YouTube
male. She had
videos
a
and-
male lawyer that was standing up, and he
They had
objected
multiple
to his own
lawyers.
questions.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like,
that
what
was in
the
the first
heck?
round of questioning. With
Yeah,
Johnny
the
Depp.
judge said that
Like, these people are
this
stupid.
was your question. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, and I thought it was funny because they had the one guy from TMZ, and she kind of basically
was
said, like, "Oh, you're here for your 15 minutes of fame," and he said, "No, TMZ is a litigious organization.
Well, he said
I'm
I could
putting
be in
myself-"
trouble for being here. Yeah,
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
they could be on, like, put a target on my back. He said, honestly, I could say the same about you as taking Amber Heard as a client. And everybody in the jury, like, or
the
everybody in the
audience.
courtroom.
You see the
Yeah.
audience
They
behind
just
her
like,
go,
Yeah.
"Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!" But it's true. It's like you could say you're trying to be famous by taking her on as your client. So
The other reason I pointed to this article and those two idiots who wrote this is they, like I said, they didn't read the tea leaves. They've not understood the actual, what's going on in the room. And I'm sorry, but so many people are on
Well,
board for Depp to get a role.
Amber
and
Heard.
even one of the comments, they only had like 1 or 2 comments on the article, but one of them was like, if you put Depp in a movie, I'll watch it 10 times just to support him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the first company that signs Depp right now is going to have a guaranteed winner.
Even Disney's
No
now
doubt.
even Disney's now rethinking. Well, maybe we could. I think in the future he'll come back. It's like, well, yeah.
If I was him, I would
I
tell
would
him
not.
to shove it. Yeah.
If I was him, I would absolutely refuse to ever come back for Pirates and just say, "Look, it's your loss now because you didn't
Now,
stand
he
by
did
me."
say on the stand under oath.
He did say he would
was
never.
doing.
And I hope
another
I hope he sticks by it because
do
Disney
too.
now thinks they can entice him back, and it's like, no, you acted like he was guilty before proven guilty.
Yeah.
That's your loss. You don't deserve to have
Well,
him
you
back.
got to believe all women.
Right.
Oh,
It's
well,
like we
that's-
can't define what a woman is,
And that's
you
the-
definitely can't believe them.
That's the fair point.
Well, that's what's because Amber Heard did say after the fact, she's like, this is going to set women back, and I have fears
She
that.
set women back. That's the thing.
Yep.
Same thing. I felt the same thing with freaking Brett Kavanaugh and
Oh,
and that
Yep.
idiot woman. She lied herself into a corner. Nobody supported her. He was guilty, guilty.
Yep.
And then as soon as he got affirmed as a Supreme Court judge, boom, where'd she go?
well, again,
No
it's
more-
She got her payout. She got her
dropped
payout
everything.
Off the side.
Amber
It was just
Heard
ridiculous.
apparently is facing possible bankruptcy as well because
Good.
she says she can't pay for this.
Good.
It's like, well, then maybe you shouldn't
Can't
lie.
snort your way out of that one. Well,
and
I don't know.
I
Maybe
think-
she can.
She's gonna need
I don't
some.
know.
But I think you're right. It's like, why in the world should we take her word? I mean, this is the problem with literally these feckless media outlets who will just take anybody at their word. And when you have somebody patting you on their back, I mean, here's the thing. I think Amber Heard is legitimately crazy, but I don't freaking blame her. She had all throughout this time, ever since the 2016 movement, everybody's patting her on the back saying, it's okay.
everybody
it's
has
okay.
told her she
you
is
need
right."
to tell your story. We need to get this out there. We believe Johnny Depp's an abuser.
And that is why it's so important to see the facts first.
That's
we
right.
don't need to jump to conclusions. You shouldn't believe all women. You shouldn't believe all men. You shouldn't believe anybody until you see the facts and judge by the facts who is the most. And no, nothing can ever be perfect. We can never know everything. But when you have enough facts that support one thing over another, you're going to have to go with what the majority of the facts are supporting. I'm sorry.
No, I completely agree. Last thing on this topic, I guess I can ask the same question of I honestly think the next project Johnny Depp does is going to just blow up.
it's gonna
People
make
will support
money.
it. What about Amber Heard? Is she a pariah? Is she going to be nowhere?
She's already out from
Yeah, they're-
Aquaman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think like this is the end of her career?
Maybe not permanently. I don't
Yeah.
know anymore. People make comebacks. And if she comes back in 20
She
years.
never
and
really
I
went
don't know.
anywhere.
That's true. I mean, the height of her career is Aquaman.
True.
So I'm sorry. And yeah.
Well, and being hot. Although it was funny. One of
I
the
remember
first,
Neil. That was Neil's girl back in the day.
Oh, yeah. What, she
That
first
was
appeared in
love.
Zombieland? Oh, yeah.
That was the first thing I saw on the day after the verdict. It was hilarious. I was scrolling through Twitter and I had a picture of her, and the quote was, "Guys, she's available."
Everybody was saying, hey, the ones I've been seeing are making jokes about her. It's like, well, maybe she'll create an OnlyFans to pay off her debt.
Yeah,
It's
pooping.
Like, it's
She
like
poops
she'll-
on beds.
2 girls, 1 cup.
Ooh.
I think we should move on to another
We
subject
probably
now.
should.
All right. I do think she's done.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna be able to touch. She's gonna be tainted for
Hey,
this for a long time.
Everybody thought that Kevin Spacey was done, and he tried to make a comeback, and now he's going through court again. So I guess he's still done. I think that's hilarious that he got like 2 roles, and now he's being sued again for more sexual harassment.
Well, and what were those 2 roles? Did you know what movies he was in?
One of them
No.
I think was a French film.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't even notable roles.
No, they were. Yeah.
So yeah, she'll be on Pornhub.
She'll make more money there than she did making real
Her
movies.
and Bella Thorne will fight it out for the top spot.
Are we moving along? We
Yes.
discussing the
Move
other
along.
headlines.
Let's talk about. We got to talk about the first one on the block.
Well, you're talking about making money. Top Gun is still making money.
Box office is making money, man.
It's
One right after the other.
I think we said it hit 500 million already.
500
something,
globally, over
548
500.
or something like that.
They're predicting that it'll break that $1 billion mark.
557.
Which I'm all for. It was a solid movie. It deserves it.
Yep.
Especially with Jurassic World coming out now, I want to see this matchup because
I love Chris Pratt, but man, this movie's gonna be so terrible.
Oh, it
It's
is,
gonna be
it is.
bad.
I think Jurassic World will hit that #1 spot, sadly, but I do think Top Gun's still going to be right there behind it. I did. I get #2.
See, if I had went and seen Top Gun with you guys, I was going to use my popcorn or my birthday popcorn and Coke
for Top Gun.
but I didn't waste it on that because I was like, I'm going to see Jurassic World with
don't
you guys.
don't pay
and I gotta
for
use it
anything on
there.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, because that's a truly like a popcorn flick.
But it will be interesting to see because I mean, people expect all of these movies have made tons of money, so people expect Jurassic World to do well. But it will be interesting to see if there's any impact on its box office because Top Gun's still in theaters. We already saw. We didn't mention it, but I think it's worth mentioning. Morbius got a re-release because, and we already saw Top Gun killed it. And it wasn't even Top Gun's first week out. It was its second week out. They re-released Morbius.
Why the hell did
And
they do that?
There was a trend online. It's Morbin time. It was really making fun of the movie.
Power Rangers?
Yeah, because
Morbin
Morbius is
time?
the
Oh
name
my
Morbius, so everybody's like, it's Morbin time. So they had this. Yeah,
The internet is amazing.
but here's the thing:
This
a lot
is when
of
trolls win.
a lot
I'm
of
just
these
saying.
people were making fun of the movie, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure it's diehard fans. Venom had fans. There are people that like Morbius. Obviously, it's very obvious there's not enough fans to support a re-release because it didn't make that much money the first time.
No. Yep.
But yeah, they re-released it. It failed. So
But I mean,
now,
the-
think about it too, though. Jurassic World, that movie will absolutely release in China. Top Gun hasn't
no, it has
because
not.
of the whole
controversy.
the
and that's the
controversy.
thing. I think, and for that reason alone, Jurassic World's definitely going to hit its #1 spot. It's going to make tons of
and
money.
I
globally.
noted it's noted in that article too about how Jurassic World Dominion somewhat released throughout other third world countries and other countries. I always just anybody's not U.S. is third world. Other countries abroad, I should say.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm reading Japan, UK, Australia. Those aren't third
They're
world
not third world.
countries.
Yeah.
I don't know why third world came out. It's terrible.
It's like compared to the U.S.
Because they're not America. But no, they release in other countries abroad, and it did okay. It's done fine, but obviously the real test is going to be when it releases this week.
Yeah.
And this weekend when we go see it.
There was a lot of people burned by Fallen Kingdom, so
Yeah, the dinosaurs were burned
Yeah.
here's the thing.
by the
That
volcano.
That movie did well, but it left a bad taste in people's mouths. So
They said in that article that so far overseas amounts have increased 1%
wow.
above Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I still think because this has the whole star power from the originals
Yep.
coming back,
Yep.
and it being the
Here's the
last
thing.
touted as the last one in
With
the
it being the
series.
last one and bringing back the original cast, that's going to drive a lot of people to see it.
That's why they did it.
And I think they had to, because if you're going solely off of Fallen Kingdom
Terrible.
and you don't have that push from the original cast and it being the final entry in this 6-part saga, which we know how that goes.
But I mean, the real headline
It's
here
like
too.
the Fast and Furious of
I was-
dinosaur movies.
It's like the headline
need to
really
end now,
truly
too.
is. You have and another franchise we're going to talk about here in just a second. It should.
Yeah,
end,
oh
too.
yeah.
But I mean, you had literally Doctor Strange wasn't great, but of course the box office hit.
It's Marvel.
Top
It's
Gun,
got, I think, 900
Jurassic
million
World
now.
Dominion. You've got Lightyear coming out. We're not reviewing
Not
that for
seeing
certain
that.
reasons.
We're not even going to be on air that week. So,
we aren't
yeah.
actually. The 21st, I believe, is Tuesday.
It's
the
the
21st.
week after Jurassic World, I believe.
We are not. on air.
We will have is it a rerun that week?
We will.
Okay.
Have a rerun on the
So
21st.
guys, we're out that week, but we will. So our last show will be Jurassic World.
Dominion. Well, not our last show.
No, this
Yeah.
Because then right
not
after
our last
that,
show ever. Before we have another rerun,
there is another big movie coming out at the end of the month. I think we're going to see, and I can't.
There's
remember.
quite a few of them.
But I mean, I'm just saying this is great that the box office is doing so hot. People
Yeah.
are getting out there.
Mission Impossible's this year.
No,
that's not
no,
till
no.
that's 2023. I think.
Yeah, it's June of 2023.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thor is at the end of this month.
yes.
Love
yes.
and Thunder.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll wrap up the end of this month.
But there's other bigger releases.
July's got some big stuff coming too,
Yeah.
I think.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of big releases coming. I'm pulling it up now.
Well, we were
so.
just talking about a couple weeks ago. We weren't
I want
really
to see
looking
Black
for
Phone.
and
Black Phone was one that we
That's
wanted
the
to
end
see.
of this month. Black Phone and then Thor. That's the release schedule. So
I
hold
think
on.
that's the one we're reviewing the week we get back from our
back
rerun.
from the rerun.
Yep.
May, June. Here we go. So yeah, Black Phone is the one right after we come out, and then Thor is actually not till July 8th. So
Okay. So that's the
Okay.
first in
Yeah.
July.
So we have Black Phone June 24th. Minions comes out if anybody cares about that. July 1st.
I mean, it'll be a big hit.
It will be a big
It's
one.
going to be a big box office
Thor's
hit.
July 8th. Nope comes out in July.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele. Let's see what he offers up there.
I
I think that'll be a minor. I mean, he's had big hits.
Bullet Train is in August.
Oh,
I want
yeah.
to see that.
I do want to see that. That looks good.
So it looks like it actually is going to slow down a little bit after the summer.
I think Bullet Train will be a sleeper hit because of Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
It'll actually pull in some money there. I'm just saying, like I'm happy that there's movies coming out that I not only want to see, but I think are again proving that when you offer a box office theatrical experience that's worth going for, then it's just nice to see people turn out for the
I mean,
theaters
we went
again.
and
Top
saw
Gun, absolutely,
Top Gun
yeah.
on a Friday afternoon for my birthday because my wife wanted to see it. So I said, well, for my birthday, we'll go to see Top Gun again. I really wanted to see it again because it was that good. And on a Friday afternoon, we went at noon, and it was pretty much full.
I
Like,
went
not
on a
completely full.
I went at
and it
noon
was
on a
and it was
Sunday.
and there was an ovation. Like I mean,
Say, it
people were
was a-
still.
Happy.
It had they
excited.
hadn't that whole like opening night clapping thing hadn't worn off
The
yet.
second time I saw it was a Sunday around 6:30, and it was still another full theater.
Sunday
I
at
mean,
noon the week after it came out.
and they still had people like.
Super thrilled and tons of people.
I mean, you have movies like Marvel opening nights. You have the people that clap and cheer. This was Sunday at 6:20, and people were still clapping and cheering.
Yeah.
After the movie, like this wasn't its opening night, so it's like people really are connecting with that.
I
movie.
immediately, it was funny, but I walked out of the theater and I not only texted you all, I texted my family, and I was just like, guys, if y'all get a chance, go see this film. It's a good film. I said, honestly, it's good for fathers and sons.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought about it in such a way that I was
that
like,
piano scene, man.
yes, yep. The piano scene,
Oh.
the scene with just like Maverick's whole motivation throughout this film and his connection with Goose and of course his
It
son
really
Rooster.
did feel like-
it was just fantastic.
The way they picked up the story 30 some odd years later really felt like a true continuation. It didn't feel like this gimmick of, well, we just want to bank off the success of, because actually when Top Gun first came out, it had mixed reviews. It wasn't a huge success. It became a success after the fact because people fell in love with it.
Well, and this
So-
I would argue too, and I know it's hard to say because Top Gun's such a cult classic.
Oh, yeah.
I think the sequel's better than the original.
I do too.
Yeah. We actually,
Yep.
we
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
And that's hard. To,
I think it
It
has
is.
heart,
to
it has
do.
more heart than the original.
Yes.
It does. Yeah.
Well,
But
and,
I mean,
and it also
again,
style. I mean, just
Yeah.
technology.
The first story though is what creates the heart in the
Yes.
second film.
True.
Yes.
Without
True.
that, you wouldn't have the better
But
film
I think that's what's
later.
so
but
brilliant about it is
Yeah.
because
Very good writing.
It has callbacks to the original, which you want for that nostalgia factor, but it doesn't lean on those like so many other new, like when they like The Force Awakens is pretty much A New Hope. We talked about
that was
there
my
was-
first
there was
thought in
things
this
in
one. I
Ghostbusters-
enjoyed the opening because it immediately
it brings you back
Opens
to
the
it.
same
brings
way,
me back.
yeah.
Opens the same way, but then I kept thinking like. I'd already heard from you all I didn't do this, so
Yeah.
I kept thinking, okay, I want it to pick up its stride in its own
Yeah.
way, and sure enough, it did.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Right
It
after
did.
that, like literally, because I was reading an article, they had asked Kenny Loggins to write a new version of that song for this movie.
Danger Zone.
And then the director said, no. He said, we're going to go with the original version of the original song because I want people from the start to know they're watching Top Gun. Now, and he when
Heck
he,
yeah.
and he said, so he's like,
yeah,
so
man.
he said, we're going to start out reassuring everybody this is Top Gun, but he said from there, because he said this is why. Partially, I mean, we know why he didn't ask Kelly McGillis to come back, but he did say with Meg Ryan because they asked about Meg Ryan because she's not in the movie, and he said,
Yep.
I did not want everything in this movie to connect to the original's plot.
Right.
He said some of the plot needed to connect to the original plot, but he said it needed plot that stood on its own. So yes, you have the things that connect to the first, but he said he didn't want everything to connect
I hate
to
to
the
bring
first.
this up because I don't want to go into it.
Yeah.
Because we talk about this off camera. I actually did disagree with y'all on the relationship between him and Jennifer Connelly. I thought they nailed it. I
didn't have a problem with it.
No,
Yeah.
I know, and I know y'all said it kind of. There were certain things they paid homage to that matched him and Kelly McGillis, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, we never really know their relationship.
True.
We know it's just hinted at, and I'm like, I could totally see Maverick as that guy who takes every girl he's ever been with on his motorcycle,
Yeah.
and her laying her head on his back.
that was
and I was
fine.
like, this is straight up a Maverick
The
thing
only
to do.
the one problem I had was at the end her leaning against the Porsche. I was like, that's kind of similar to Kelly McGillis like leaning against the
Porsche.
motorcycle or the
Well, she has a Porsche
yeah.
in the
and
first
I
movie.
was, but other than that,
But
I
yeah,
did,
yeah.
It was a minuscule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do love the way they connected her to the original with the line about him doing the flyover of the general's daughter, and he's like, "Who are they talking about?" And Goose leans over, he's like, Penny, whatever her name is, and it's like, so that one line is
Penny
how the-
Benjamin. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what he says in the movie.
and that one line connect because that's who she is in this movie.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's
The
like,
Admiral's
okay,
daughter. Yeah,
because it's like, all right,
I'd never
Well,
made that
and
connection.
and I even furthered that connection when I saw the movie, and she's like, I have a certain image to uphold. She's like, and he's like, I won't ever go out your window again like this.
Yeah.
And that was to also refer to he escaped out the window.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he mentions
and I did like that because it does give them a history without having to go in depth
right,
with it.
and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
exactly, and that's what I ultimately loved. Is I was like, this is a good way to carry on to a new.
I did not make
Yeah.
that. That's 4
Now-
stars for me. Now. I didn't make that connection. Literally, their relationship and the lack of a backstory for me was the only thing that knocked the half
you
star
didn't think
off.
it mentioned it.
I
at
did
all
not know.
in
I
the
didn't
first
catch
movie.
that.
Yeah.
No, I remember the first movie, but I never made the connection that she
She's
was
Penny
the Penny
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Penny Benjamin.
Yeah. I
So I
never
do
made
like
that.
it. But no, yeah, we're
I know we're
into
going on Top Gun.
What's the best movie ever made? Now? That's right up there
it
with
is-
Return of the King.
It's the first movie in a long time I've walked out of the theater and I thought I want to go back in and see it again.
Yeah.
It felt like more
I-
than just a
yes.
cash grab off of an old movie.
Yep.
'Cause-
And it just had a great feel good feeling. Like
Yeah.
the moment he goes up and kisses her, and even Lady Gaga starts, "Hold my hand," and,
here's the
I'm
thing.
just like, I want to watch this again.
that was a good
replay.
song too, because there's so many times where you can make a song for a movie and then play it in the movie and it seems hokey and cliche. And I honestly dug it. I was like, okay, no, this fits. I didn't feel like I didn't think this was just this cheesy
No.
moment when Lady Gaga comes on. So
All right, last thing, last one.
Yeah.
We have to talk about it
we
because
don't have to go in depth with it, but yeah,
it's what I named the video.
Yeah. Nev Campbell's out.
Scream King, the Scream Queen's out.
Yeah.
She's leaving the
It's like,
franchise.
how do you have Scream without the Scream Queen? Yeah, yeah. I think it's dumb. She said that that the money they offered her for the movie, she didn't think was worth like what her worth is for the franchise. And I get that the franchise is built around that character. If she's not the one being paid the most to come back,
Here's the thing. I'm not willing to say.
I don't know what she was offered.
I'm not willing. Yeah, I'm not willing to call her out yet. But I'm going to ask her the same question I would ask a dude if he was bowing out of a movie too. I just want to know what the dollar amount is.
Yeah.
Because if a dude was saying the same thing, and Robert Downey Jr. was like, "Well, they're not paying me enough to come back and do Iron Man,"
Yeah.
and it's like Iron Man and Nev Campbell and Sidney Prescott and Scream are not in the same caliber. So if she's coming out and asking for $90 million for the next movie, and they're like, no, and she's like, well, they don't want to pay me enough.
Not so
That's
much.
a little much.
Not so much what she's making, but what she's making in comparison to the previous movies. Because if it's like
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
If she's made like 9 or 8 million from the previous films starring in them, and now she wants like 15,
or if it's like,
give it to her.
or even if it's a slap in the face thing where like she's actually making less than some of the cast that they're trying to make the main cast now. It's like I could see that. It's like
I would
she
hope
is.
that's not the case.
Well, I don't know. Or maybe the script just got awful, and she's like, you know what, I'm done with this
Yeah,
franchise.
that's what I was
That's not
wondering.
enough
Is it-
money for
it's
me to
just
do
her
that
easy
terrible
way
an
of
script.
excuse
bowing
to
out.
get out. Yeah.
It's like, look, you're not going to pay me enough to be in that terrible script. I'm done.
Yeah, I just don't know. There's not enough details. We're taking her word on it, and she's just saying, "Hey, I'm bowing out. They're not paying me enough." Okay, fine,
Yeah.
cool.
I
Like
think
I'm
it's-
support you. Like if you don't want the money, she's not getting the paycheck.
For me,
so
all
be it.
told, it's an instance where I feel like this. Look, Wes Craven has passed. He's gone. Now Nev Campbell's bowing out. This franchise needs to be done.
And
the last
spoiler alert: when we reviewed the film,
we weren't.
we weren't too fond of it.
Yeah.
But even like they killed off Dewey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dewey's gone. You now no longer have her. It's even like
All you have coming back
Courtney
is
Cox?
Courtney Cox and
Courtney
Hayden
Cox.
Panettiere.
and I don't think
Because people are
gosh.
excited she's coming back from the fourth one, and I'm like, who cares?
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
She was only ever in the fourth one.
the only subtle like jab that they made about this being the requel,
Yeah.
the return and the sequel at the combined. It's like that was the only like
They've
decent
kind of run out
underlying
of witty
storyline.
ideas to,
Right.
to make it a satire of horror. It's like, what else are you
they've
going to do?
kind of become a satire of themselves.
Yes. It's like literally after the third one, we didn't need any more. And you've shoved one with 4 and now 5 and now we're getting 6. It's like
You talk about Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're turning Scream into. I know they got to get
and
to
that's
10
another
films,
franchise that needs to
but-
die too. Look, we can't all be these long running franchises. I'm sorry, that's not worth it.
We need new ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I think is funny is I'm like, I don't know what else Neve Campbell could do because she's not done anything else. But
She's in
Sidney
a
Prescott.
series that she's actually gotten praise for. So I don't.
Oh,
so
all right,
I'm. I don't.
It's not to knock her acting abilities, and like she was doing
Lincoln
other
Lawyer,
things.
the Lincoln Lawyer television
Oh,
series.
on
that?
Netflix.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She's in that, and
Yeah.
apparently, I guess that's her bread and butter now. So she doesn't care about Scream. She's like, I got
Oh,
this.
and
I've
that- I was
actually
gonna
heard that it's
say-
really good.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
don't-
She also was in something else too, and again, I wasn't trying to knock her.
No.
I like
I'm just-
Neve Campbell.
Yeah, I agree. She's not been in a lot of
She's
things.
known for Scream.
Yeah, and
there
Wild
were
Things.
Yeah,
Wild Thing.
The
and there-
Craft.
What
That's
was
about
that?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
What was the other thing she grew up in? That was Party of Five. Was it?
I think
She
so.
was in Party of Five.
Yeah,
She was in
she
Party
was.
of Five.
That
That was
was
an
kind
old
of her
sitcom,
first one
like,
of her first
breakout
major
role.
roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, she definitely has other notable things, but Scream put her on the map.
Yeah.
Just like you could say Keanu Reeves, like, The Matrix
Yeah.
wouldn't be the same without him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. But I'm like, I don't know what else she's been in. I kind of like the fact that she's not
Here's
returning
my
to Scream for a
problem.
paycheck to see what other diversity
With-
she has in acting.
Any of these movies that don't like with Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers, you have a little bit of a supernatural element there. So for them to continue coming back and killing is fine. I'll buy into that. But how many times can you have copycat killers
Yeah.
before it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's
They're
crazy.
Copycat killers. There's an
Of the
unlimited
copycat.
amount of
I
copies.
know, but I mean, in reality, you
know
don't
what
have
you're
that many
saying.
people. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of crazy that this many people said, "I'm going to repeat the killings of the Woodsboro murders."
Right.
It's like how many
Yeah.
people are repeating
again, and they
Ted Bundy
had-
or the Zodiac Killer, or it gets to a
True.
point where it's like, how many? Like,
Well, they've had
something's
ample
wrong with Woodsboro that all
opportunities.
these people are crazy enough to just start murdering people.
Series popping up on your
Go away,
iPad.
Siri.
Your iPad, man. I'm telling iOS 16's coming out.
It's touchy.
I bet it ain't gonna fix it.
I say one thing that sounds. I don't even know what I said that sounded like Siri, but she is. She's always trying to butt into
Sydney.
stuff.
Yeah.
Sydney Prescott. What's your favorite scary movie?
I think I said seriously, and she was
Seriously?
just like,
Yeah,
All I
mine
know
didn't
is
do it.
I am ready for Scream. They've had ample opportunities now with 4 and 5 to rehash the idea of what Scream could be.
I like the
while
original
still-
3. I'm good.
I would
with
say
those.
while still
Yeah.
knocking on the horror genre, and I feel like have fallen short on 4 and 5 to do that.
Well, here's another problem because I was reading that this is the and I've actually seen a few people online that that don't like this. One of the actors was praising the script for being like the edgiest and goriest, and it's like, why making it more gory doesn't make it more scary or interesting?
Yeah.
That was the problem with Halloween Kills.
Yep.
It's like a
I
story.
was about to bring that
yeah.
one up.
I was gonna say a story that was, and granted, the Scream movies were more gory than something like Halloween, but they relied more on the suspense and then that jump factor than the all-out gore.
And even the gore, I hate to say, it was.
It was pathetic.
Yeah.
It-
Sometimes.
well, it
The
was
smashing of that guy's head. That
Yes.
was terrible.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That was like trauma film.
yes.
It was that.
Oh, you're talking
bad.
about in Halloween?
In Halloween, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the goriest scene in any of the Screams was the first one with the boyfriend having his stomach gutted, and from there they were mostly mild, like kind of more mild on the gore.
Well, to me, it was
and I think
always
that
the-
was just
the
that initial
creative
shock.
aspect.
Yeah,
Like the creative aspect for me and how the kills were done. Like in Halloween, when it does open up with the way the two are killed in the bathroom when he escapes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was like, to me, that was the kind of heinous like gore that you would see someone like the evil of Michael Myers. But it was like, yeah, they didn't have to go all the way to the point of him stomping on a dude's head and completely. I was like, what is this?
just the guy falling off the roof of the building in Halloween Kills and showing the splatter. I'm like,
Oh, that.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that was terrible.
I was like, why? He looked like
Would he
like he
fall
was
on
laying
water
there with the
balloons or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Kills
I was like,
was not.
It's like they're
it was
chasing
not
Danny
good.
DeVito's penguin, saying it's Michael Myers. There's no way. I'm just saying. It's Michael Myers. No,
I
short
know.
fat guy does not equate tall
No,
like
no.
lean guy.
No. But yeah, I'm
Scream's done.
more surprised on. Or do you think they're actually going to continue with this now that she's bowed out? Do you think they're
Oh
actually?
no,
gonna,
they're still
yeah.
going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
they said they're
I
moving
think it's
on
going to
without her.
flop. It's
Oh,
going to flop.
definitely.
Yeah, but
Without her in it, it's going to flop, no doubt. I don't think they're going to have
Because they
success with
got
it.
4 of the cast from Screen 6 returning, because I guess they're trying to turn them into the main cast now. And I'm like,
It
that
wasn't
was
popular.
Well, that
enough.
was, that was
I'm
another
sorry. I know
problem
they
with Screen
think
6.
it was.
Nobody died. It's like in all the other movies, you only had like 1 or 2 survivors outside of like the core cast.
Yeah.
It's like in Scream 6, it's like them killers were terrible. The only person they managed to kill was Dewey.
Yeah,
But that was awful.
and it was the worst way for him to go.
And he's the one
He's the
person
fan favorite.
that always ends
They
up like
ruined it.
I know they
ruined
butchered it.
All right, we're moving on to Vices.
right.
Let's talk about it.
I just noticed that the Vices it's all rainbowy for Pride Month.
Yeah, I did that for. I just want everybody to know. Happy Pride. Happy Pride.
I didn't do it. I wish I had now. Maybe I still will.
What?
This has nothing to do with Pride Month.
I don't know what you're about to do.
There was a trend on Facebook where everybody was using that app to make themselves look art like style.
Yes.
And I took a picture of Bill Paxton like the turd monster, and I ran it through that app. What? I still have it on my. I never did it. I was like, nah, I don't like. I don't feel like doing this. But I was like, I was gonna make that my profile picture, making fun of like everybody doing that. But
Oh
it was
my
Bill Paxton
gosh.
as that big
As the-
turd.
as the turd
but it
from
was
Weird
like all
Science.
artistic from that app, and
Yeah.
I might
Oh
still
my
do
you
it.
have it on your iPad?
Yeah,
I wanna
should.
see it.
I was like, it was hilarious. I was just
See
like,
if Siri will
oh,
work and let you search
you know,
for turd.
but now I only think of it because of the like our theme came from Weird Science or whatever,
That's such a
but
good
No, it didn't.
not this one. Oh no, wait.
multimedia.
multimedia,
That
but-
came,
yeah,
that was
that
from
came
Revenge
from-
of the Nerds.
yeah,
that was Revenge of the Nerds. That's right.
This
That's
is
right.
the Miami Vice.
The
thing.
I knew that. No, I knew this one wasn't it, but I forgot. Yeah, it was multimedia I was thinking of, but that was Revenge of the Nerds. But we might have to move on to. Oh, here we go.
How'd you find it? Here, I'll show you.
I'm gonna have to make this. I'm gonna do it when we get over the show.
Yeah, show
This is gonna. I'm gonna make that my profile picture.
Dude, it looks like Rockbiter from Labyrinth
So that
or from
that's.
Neverending Story.
But I was just like, I went through
so
the effort
good.
of doing it. Then I was just like,
Yeah.
But I just think the
It's
whole
so
art thing was
good.
so dumb that I'm just like, nah, I'm not even
Yeah.
bother. But
I made
might
one
have
too.
to.
I've got like one of me with a cigar, and I did
yeah.
it, but I don't. I'm not putting it out there.
Well, of course not.
No.
Honestly, it was
That's,
like
that's
I just
freaking-
don't
like,
understand,
well,
like,
the
amazing.
damn Disney characters.
Yeah.
and
Oh
I'm
my
glad
gosh.
I'm glad this didn't catch on nearly as
No.
long.
I'm gonna make
it was
this
a
my
fad
profile
for about
picture
a
right
week.
now while we're on the show. Keep talking.
I want to see if you get responses from people while we're on the show.
I just some of these trends. I'm just like, okay, I guess if it makes you happy, I bet. I mean,
Well,
that's
they
what it's all
do.
about.
It is.
what makes you happy.
Well, and everybody's trying to create something that's going to catch wildfire like right away, and then when it does, they're like, "Oh, we got one," you know. And it's like, who knows who started it? It's just people start doing it.
who knows who starts these things? Kinsey.
What's our vices segment?
Yeah, we
right.
haven't even gotten into
I told
that.
Keith I think this may be kind of an evolution of one we've done before, but I don't think we've done this
We just
specifically.
reworded another one.
Okay.
Pretty much. It is, what's your hardest vice to control?
Yeah.
Oh.
Of the vices that you can think that whether you daily
I
struggle,
gave an X-rated answer before the show.
Yeah, I know.
I think
what
we
it
all
is.
would include that.
Yeah.
What's your hardest
Like,
vice?
I might not know what a woman is, but I know what a man is, and I know what that
I don't-
vice is.
Whoa!
I know what that vice
Edie's
is.
attacking me.
Edie's. Whew, you
No,
want to know what
the
her vice
X-rated
is.
one.
My
no.
answer was masturbation. By the way, I'll just go ahead. No, that's
Well, that's where I was going.
no. I just want. I love doing that.
I
Like
wake up with
dancing
my hand
around
in my
it.
pants.
I
Like,
love
I
to
don't
dance
understand
around
why.
something.
I don't dream about touching myself.
I didn't even
But
finish.
I wake up
Yeah.
with it. It's
He
just
didn't
there.
even finish.
I fell asleep and it was in my hand when I woke up.
He didn't even finish.
It's like I'll be watching TV and just like why is my hand in my pants? Like, what the heck?
Oh, no, I do that.
That's
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
like,
like
that's a vice.
was that
right?
Al Bundy would come home and
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but that is one of my favorite ways to set up like a kind of joke is to dance around something, act like I'm not going to say it, and then just be straight out like, no, I'm talking about masturbation.
I'm just throwing it out.
Because people are like, people by that point already know what you're talking about.
No.
So it's just,
Well,
you
of
know.
course. Oh, you said it.
Yeah. No, that's if it's not obvious, I would have to say food.
That was gonna be. mine.
Well, I mean, I
Wow,
think
yeah.
anybody who's overweight and then says, "Oh no, that's not the worst thing I struggle with," and maybe it's not. I mean, people do have other problems, but that's definitely. I'm fat. I can fat bash people. Being overweight's not healthy. So obviously, if you're overweight, you have a struggle there. And I do know some people do have actual health issues that cause weight. It's not always overeating, but those are rare instances, not the. I mean, because I know like with steroids, with people who have lymph nodes removed, that causes people to take on swelling and water. So there are some medical conditions, but that is not the vast majority of people.
No, it's not.
I'm not overweight because I have some type of glandular issue. I eat too damn
Americans
much.
are the most obese in the world.
Yep.
Yep. So
Talk about real privilege. That's, I mean, the fact that you can go to the store and just eat whatever you want, all
Right.
the junk
Well,
food there,
right.
and it's hard. It's hard.
You
to
know
turn
what's
away.
helping me with my weight is the fact that I can't afford food anymore.
or the gas to go get it.
Yeah, it's like actually probably no, that actually is
We
not
freaking
helping.
hit over $5 now.
I
Yeah.
know
We
so
just hit
awful.
over 5.
It pisses me off to no
freaking
end.
insane.
Yeah.
But I was going to say actually it's not true because when and I'm trying to still stick to my diet as well as I can. But all the things that I need to stick to the diet are what cost the most. It's the chips and the junk crap that is. It's like, well, I can't afford to eat healthy
Yeah.
now. I got to buy a bag of potato chips because that's all I can.
How did the price of potato chips not go up?
Because
like,
here's the thing, potatoes.
if you really think of, if you go to the store and look, like chips and Twinkies,
Well,
and
potatoes are dirt
fruit snacks,
cheap.
all that stuff, it's still cheap.
That's why they experiment
it's-
with
it's-
growing potatoes
yeah,
on
it's-
other planets.
It's
because,
the eggs and the milk and the bread and the meat and all
Yeah.
that's gone up, and it's like, what the heck?
Because I actually, and it was funny because I saw a meme, and it was a dumb meme where someone was like, thing of fries at McDonald's is $1, but if you buy the fruit cup, it's $3. Tell me how that's right. It's like because fruit doesn't grow anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
seasonal.
It'll only grow in certain locations.
What,
it's
fries grow
but-
everywhere?
Potatoes will grow almost. No,
I'm
it's
just
like-
kidding.
and it's like, but potatoes. That's why they use potatoes because they
Yeah.
are
Dude,
dirt
if
cheap.
there
They
was a
grow almost
McDonald's,
anywhere.
if there was a McDonald's fry tree,
Dude.
I'd be screwed.
But that's
God,
that's why
we'd
Matt
have one
Damon
in our
I'm
yard.
just saying, that's why Matt Damon grew potatoes on Mars because they'll grow almost anywhere.
Yeah, even in your own poop.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
I would break the limbs of that
it's
tree.
Yep.
Just sitting in it eating
unfortunately
fries all day.
the healthiest things need specific climates to grow.
Supersize me.
Yeah.
You can't grow mangoes and pineapple and tropical fruits in Alaska. I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, and that's the thing. No. But I would agree and wholeheartedly. That's my same vice.
Gluttony.
It's like, it's that mixed with, I will say, recently, because at the start of this year, I really got dedicated
Eating away
to
your feelings, man. That's me.
It happens. Eating.
Eating your loneliness.
That's
I
right.
think it is-
Depression.
I think it's like kind of it is kind of a boredom thing. I'll be sitting there and I'm in my house alone, nobody to talk to. I'm just watching TV, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? It's like I'm watching TV. I can play a video game. I can read. It's like, but after a while, I get bored. I was
Yeah.
like, I need to do something. Let's go shove my face with it.
Just eat. It's
It's
like
so-
you either have your hand in
Well,
your pants or a bag of chips.
yeah,
it's
it
like,
is.
what am I gonna do with this hand? That's what I'm
And it's
just
after
thinking
a
about.
while,
I'm
you
just
can only
sitting there
play
and
with
it's
yourself
like,
for so long.
Yeah, it's like
get
I'm starting to
tired.
hurt.
You gotta
I just
go
gotta
eat
get some
300
chips.
Nutrition. You got to
That's
keep the
right.
stamina up. Potato.
It's
The
like
only good thing is by the time you get done in your pants, your hand is tired, so you eat less chips.
Well, it's more so I don't want to eat what's on my hand.
Well,
you wash
Why
your
not?
hand.
Hey,
it depends on the
sometimes
chip.
it,
If it's one of the flavored chips where I'm not gonna smell the
I wash-
hand, I'll just go right in. I don't care. Like those pickle flavored chips.
it's like, oh, I thought
The
these were
Cuban sandwich chips.
sour cream Pringles.
They are now.
Hey, I like the pickle flavored ones.
Oh.
It's the kettle chips. when
Like
they have
that.
the
That's
different-
exactly.
yeah,
That's my
yeah.
dude. And those
Man.
things are $2 a bag.
Yeah.
Dude,
Kettle
I
chips
will
are expensive.
destroy those
That's not bad at
chips.
all. Mine are the expensive. The Ritz,
Yeah, see,
the
we
toasted
I don't buy
ones.
name brand
I don't
stuff.
buy Ritz. Those
The
are
Ri- but
crackers.
they're-
Those aren't chips.
No. The Ritz toasted. They're
I know what they are.
They're
those,
so
those
the
aren't
sour cream and
chips.
onion. Oh
Yeah, it's
man,
not a chip, dude.
They are. They're chips.
They're
It's
not.
not a
You-
chip.
Yes, it is.
Cheez-Its aren't
nope.
chips.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
Cheez-Its aren't
Those
chips
are
either.
crackers.
We've talked
Those
about
are
that.
crackers.
That's true.
Wait,
I would say
we
Cheez-Its
have.
are not a chip.
Yeah,
I
We've
would
had an
agree.
in-depth
I've seen those
discussion of
Ritz.
that.
To me, those aren't chips. They're good, but I when I want a potato chip, I want a potato
My
chip.
my vice is definitely procrastination. Like I know that I need to exercise, and there's things that I need to do to try to not just lose weight, but just stay a little bit more active and fit. Because I don't want to
yes.
be that 50-year-old dad that can't throw a football with his son.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I know I need to do those things, and I get started on stuff, and then I stop, and I put it off, and there's better things to do or other things that I have a limited time in a day to just do what I want to do or do what I need to do. And
No, that's
just
exactly
like-
what I was gonna say.
Like that's a huge vice for me. Or the one thing that I struggle with to control is putting things off. I know there's things I need to do. I know I set time aside to do them, but then it's like when I get that time, it's like, oh, dude, I'd rather just watch a show or or play a game or
Huge
or
thing
whatever,
recently
you
has
know?
been reading, and specifically.
Oh, you learned to read?
Well, I'm struggling with vowels. So
I believe that.
Saying
struggling with vowels. I believe you're just struggling.
But no, I've been wanting to read more, and specifically, it was two things. You said procrastination, but specifically when it comes to like health related, that's been more mine since the beginning of the year. I trained for the Triple Crown, I ran it. I've trained for the Mini, I ran it. But it's like now, after having done those things,
I'm sorry, you said Triple Crown. I was like, what did you do? A horse race?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I mean, you got to gallop.
I
man.
forgot that's the Mini, right?
I was.
Or is it the
the Triple Crown is the 5, 10, and 15K.
Okay.
And then they have the Mini.
Yeah,
after.
yeah, I
It's
gotcha.
separate. You have to sign up, and they cost a ridiculous amount. But no, I was happy to get done with those, but it was the motivation of continuing the training after.
Yeah.
And then also it was like you said, setting aside time to do certain things, but then finding myself at the struggle of, okay, committing to, it's like I have a long list of books, just like I do movies and TV shows of things I want to consume, and yet it's like never ending. It's an overload, and so you get to this point of almost like, okay, I want to revert back to something I already know that I like, and I hate doing that because then you end up not enjoying something new and refreshing.
Yep.
And ultimately, you kind of are like, okay, I'm just doing. It's kind of like, okay, you don't grow. You don't grow at all.
Yeah.
And whether it's reading the Word,
I grow.
reading, actual books that I have on a list, whether it be from other biblical scholars of actually just growing and deepening my faith, even books that I've gotten in the last few years from other just notable figures like Jordan Peterson and the 12 Rules for Life. And
I got a story about that too when we get done with vices.
Oh, okay. And but it's like there are just several things that I have. I mean, honestly, stuff with the show, not the show, but the Red Moon in general. It is. I think it is procrastination. It's chalking it up to, okay, there's things that I want to accomplish, but there's also some roadblocks are legitimate.
Yeah.
Variables I can't control, but the variables I can. I often find myself, oh crap, I'm just making up excuses as to not do this.
Yeah.
And so it's sticking with, I've learned that in each of the challenges I face with them, it's kind of picking one of, the things I want to focus on and just focusing on it at once. He
I was
changed-
making it, yeah.
You
He
changed
made it
your
his profile
profile
picture
picture
now.
It's now my profile picture, yeah.
Should put that as your profile on the dating app.
Yes.
That would be great.
That'll be on your Bumble profile.
I guarantee you'll get
Do
some
it.
swipes.
Bumble.
I mean,
or
come on.
whatever.
If there ain't a girl
Whatever
that
it's
don't
called.
like that,
Thumbs up, swipes, whatever.
yeah, swipe
oh
right.
God, that's beautiful.
Can you show it?
That's
I just want
great.
to see the.
Just
It's
Facebook
adorned your.
profile.
It straight up looks like.
Now, what's the
Rock Bottom.
picture behind it? What's your banner?
That's all of us.
I can't see it.
Oh, is that the New Year's photo?
No, you're not in it because you don't ever join us. That's all of us smoking, Sean. in my
Oh,
basement.
you have that one? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been my banner because Brad's in it. It's been that for
Yeah.
a couple years now.
He don't want to include me. He
I was
doesn't love me.
wondering, do you have like a cross or something back there, and then you get this turd guy in front of it?
No, it's
Like,
it's-
what was your banner?
it's all of us smoking.
Because
At the
I
bar.
changed mine to the Noah's Ark, painted as the rainbow colors and all that.
I thought that was very good.
That's mine now.
That was the troll you made, but
will,
also it's like
Yeah. Well,
that was the original reason.
My book story is another trolling moment, which is happening more often as I get older.
Go ahead, yeah, tell that.
So we went to the Bullitt County Public Library. Everything is plastered LGBT.
Yep.
Yada yada. Rainbows everywhere.
Public dollars.
Everybody working there's got rainbow shirts on, all this stuff, and every aisle is pushing their books to the front. So we take our kids in there, and I'm immediately in hell. Like I look at Amelia, and I'm just like, we need to leave, and she's just like, they can go pick books. We got this cultural pass thing that we're gonna do, and where you go around and they give you, I don't know, it's just stuff. And
Follow the rainbow road.
yeah, I had to read it first. I was like, "You say cultural pass? That screams
Yes.
woke to me."
Yep.
So I
yep.
read it, and it's okay. It's like, we're gonna go to this art museum one day. You go here, take the kids there to the Bella Louisville, and they get a ride on the Bella Louisville, and
Yeah,
some things. It was all innocent enough.
Yeah,
So
I've seen that they're
yeah,
doing.
It's
So-
just when you
But
get to the innocent
yeah.
places and they're adorned with all this woke shit.
Yeah. So I'm in there, and I'm like, we're looking around, and the kids are picking some books and playing on the iPads and all this stuff, and I'm just like, this is just too much. Every aisle, all the gay books right there on the front, all the trans books, all right there at the front, even in the kids department. And I'm just like, this is insane. So I go looking around. I'm like, I'm going to check out a book. And I go around looking or whatever. So we get up to the the booth or whatever, and she's scanning our books, and she's going through this kids' books. Amelia's got, I don't even know what the heck she got. I have How to Destroy America in 3 Easy Steps by Ben Shapiro.
That's right.
And I checked it out, and you could see the lady scanning the books, and she sees the Berenstain Bears, and she's going through all these things, and then she gets to that book and slows down for a second to read what the cover is, and then she scans it, and her demeanor completely changed from being all happy-go-lucky to, are you serious? Like, you're one of those men? And I was just like, yeah. And granted, I'm several pages or chapters into the book. I've been reading it at work on my breaks and stuff, and it's like, it's good, but I'm literally, the only reason I checked it out was to be spiteful to these people.
yeah.
I'm like, here, check that book out to
Yep.
me. I'm not getting one of these rainbow books. I'm getting this book with the American flag on it. It's about how you people are destroying our country.
Well, and it's funny because it's funny because it's like part of checking it out is also being like, I'm doing this because you have to carry this book.
Yeah.
Because it's a public library.
Yeah.
And yet you don't want anybody to check out content like this, even though
Oh
it's
yeah,
made
it was in a
available.
deep dark
Yeah.
corner of the library, but I
yeah.
found it.
Deep.
I was actually
Dark.
looking for The Great Good Thing, but I couldn't
Oh!
find that.
Which
You don't
one?
have that, do you? The Great Good Thing.
I do want to. Yeah, that's
No, I have it on
Clavin, isn't it?
Yeah, I have the
Yeah, Andy
audio.
Clavin.
I listened to it on audio tape.
I was trying to find it, but they didn't have
It's
that.
actually it's really good. I enjoyed it a lot. So
I want to
I
check
do
that
have,
one out. I think I've got Noel's book.
I have 12 Rules from Jordan Peterson.
I've got that one
his
too.
first one.
Yeah.
He came out with a new one.
It's
I
very
haven't bought
dense.
it yet.
Yeah.
It's very dense.
Well, I love
when he
love-
talks.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it because
I do
it's
love
like
it.
I just
provokes you to
I
think.
have
Yeah.
to be in the mood and the mental capacity to
Yeah.
understand. I can listen
is a
to
good
his
book.
lectures
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
easier than I can read his words.
See, I think actually reading his book was easier than
Easier?
listening to him. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
So I mean, I've really enjoyed his book, but I mean,
anyway, that was my.
and
That was
the Great Good Thing's really good.
that was my little incident or trolling
There's just
that
other
I had.
classic authors that I've wanted to check out that dive into the deeper issues that
Yeah.
to me I think would give ammunition in this day and age to the mental ineptitude of our generation. And it's like I just want to read those, and I constantly am
Oprah
like,
Winfrey.
oh yeah, I just can't own
Oh.
enough.
Literally,
Oh,
that's the name of her
Actually, yeah.
channel,
hey,
wasn't it?
that's
Oh.
that's a vowel.
Oh.
All right, guys.
Ah.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay.
all right. I think we're done with this episode.
I think so.
Thank you all so much for
Get outta
tuning
here.
in every single week. Of course, we are glad to have you here as listeners and viewers. Right there at the bottom of your screen, you can see all of our social media. You can follow us, like, share, subscribe on Red Moon Book Red Moon Tweets, Red Moon Picks, and just search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Thank you all so much for joining us. Tune in next Tuesday. And then, of course, after next Tuesday's show, we then have a week off. We have a rerun
What are we
episode.
reviewing next week?
Next week, we are reviewing Jurassic World Dominion. Oh, the final of the trilogy.
I am going to enjoy this.
Velociraptors and motorcycles.
Yeah.
You sold me.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm
yeah.
going to enjoy
And Chris
it.
Pratt,
Yep.
of course.
Yep.
I just...
The shenanigans are going to be fun.
I'm very nervous because I don't want to force it, but I really want to have an... I'm just saying, I really want another one of those oh shit moments. Yeah. Like I'm not, I don't want to do it just to do it, but I really want to, like, I hope there's a moment in the movie where I could just let it
The
rip.
first movie was perfect. that second, The Fallen Kingdom, was fan-friggin-tastic.
It was just...
It was like the funniest and most embarrassing moment.
I saw an opening and I took it.
And it was the perfect
That's
moment.
from Top Gun. That's from the first Top Gun movie. It's like, I saw an opening and I took it.
I took it.
You took it and broke a primary rule of engagement. You never, ever leave your wingman.
Such a freaking good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, and also, old-fashioned way you can do it. Everybody's got it. Email. RMPodcast at RedMoonProductions.com.
Because I talk to people all the time when I ask if they want to add an email. They're like, I don't have one of those.
You talk to mostly old people who are probably at the end of their life.
Yeah. Wait. Gotta have a
Terrible.
computer.
I can't lie there. They are all older people.
It's like, but you have to have email to
Right.
get your update on your appointment.
The old people are the only ones worth talking to now.
That is true. They're the only ones that share and have any kind of wisdom this day and age.
Yeah.
I just got to Keith and he's like picking his teeth out.
I am.
All right, guys. RMPodcast at RedMoonProductions.com. Email us there. Also, just search for all of our old reviews on RedMoonProductions.com if you want to check that out. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And I missed that for last week.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.